Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of iRacing Thursdays here on America's Racing League. You join us basically just as qualifying has concluded. For that, I must humbly apologize. I was trying to make sure everything was absolutely picture perfect before the pictures came through. Was in a bit of a hurry, but we made it here. The glittering North Carolinian city of Charlotte. We are at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval as of 2025. Apparently there were a couple updates. I think a corner is about different, but ultimately for me, another new circuit. So if you were enjoyed the confusion of Barber Motorsport Park last week, you'll probably enjoy my personal confusion within the Charlotte Roval. I am by myself tonight, so unfortunately no beautifully speaking and wonderful Dutchmans in the booth with me. They very sensibly went off to bed. But qualifying has concluded in a fashion with, honestly, one of the biggest gaps we have seen really coming into one of these races. It is Paul O'Malley who is on the pole, followed by, on the front row, Piotr Shabilski. Michael Hickman is in third, and Marie De Pasquale is in fourth. George Reynolds Jr. in fifth. Nick Dawson-Lathan is in sixth. Juan Zapata is in seventh. David DeLeon is in eighth. Javi Sanabria is in ninth. Daniel Kent, 10th. Marcus Taylor is in 11th. Anthony Madonia, 12th. Charles Burks, 13th. Leon Vallejo, 14th. Anthony Pacheco in 15th. And Sam Trotter, Devin Strouch, Connor Cunningham, and Cody Baumeister have all didn't set a time in qualifying, whether intentionally or unintentionally, but they should be joining us on the grid nonetheless. I was warned it would be a bit of a light grid this evening. I know a lot of people are spending some time on the green hell preparing for the N24 that's going to be ran on iRacing officials this weekend, but it's looking pretty healthy to me. Everybody's getting ready to go underway for the formation, and before they do that, or well, I guess while they do that, I'm going to show the standings as we come into round 6. It is Paul O'Malley, our pole sitter in fashion, who's leading the championship right now with 109 points. Michael Hickman in second with 102, and Marie De Pasquale is in third. Piotr Shabilski in fourth, clawing his way back towards the front on a very good form. 2 in a row on the wins. We'll see if he can convert that all tonight. James O'Brien is in fifth with 77. Marcus Taylor is in sixth with 51. Ted Piper tied in seventh with Devin Strouch, both of them on 47 points. Daniel Kent ninth with 37. And Wyatt Johnson in 10th with 35. They are getting underway. They are getting rolling. As well, this is actually the first time I've seen a formation lap begin from the pit lane, which is a bit interesting, and I don't know, it's a bit different. Looks like we're getting the full formation experience. Usually it's a bit of a shorter formation, but now tonight we get the full business. Everybody has all the time they need to prep their cars, prep their tires as best they can before the starts. There definitely are a few new names in the field and a couple of new car. One of them sticks out to me immediately, which is the Acura NSX of Juan Zapata. Not a car you see often, but boy am I glad to see it. It's not a favorite, possibly for a reason. It's not the best one out there, but gorgeous to see it on circuit. And, well, another car to get in the mix to give us, hopefully, a phenomenal view of tonight's race. They're entering on to the oval section. It's almost... saying it's Daytona-like, I feel like is a bit unfair to the circuit as a whole. But, well, it's a bit Daytona-like. You go on to the oval. It is a bit of a shorter oval, admittedly, than that of Daytona. You have a chicane. You get back onto the oval. Then, well, there's another chicane in Charlotte. That's the main difference, but I don't know. Those of you who are familiar with Daytona might find this a little bit familiar. I'm very familiar with Daytona, so I'm hoping I find it a little bit familiar. Two things to note. Track limits. They basically don't exist as far as I'm concerned. If you see cars going over what you think is the white line, they're probably not. Sausage curbs, or curbs in general, can be the end of you. I saw a car airborne during practice when I was getting everything ready to go. It seemed like Piotr Shabilski's having a little bit of connection issues. He seems sort of popping in and out, so hopefully that won't turn into to anything. But we do have a member of the Shabilski family wishing Piotr on for a good race. We've got one of the family members for Paul O'Malley in the chat wishing them a good race. So a fight for the top. It's almost a family affair here as we're getting ready, and I think we're going underway. We are full green flag here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and there's a car already in the background. It's Anne-Marie De Pasquale, who immediately was shot into the barrier just coming out of the final corner, but Paul O'Malley leading them in style and getting it going as best as he can, trying to be as comfortable as he's going to be. It's a very clean start for a few, but I'll definitely be interested to see what happened to Anne-Marie there. This is the third round in a row where it's really been not the greatest start for her, so she's going to have to work very, very hard to get her Mustang back up to the top ropes. Another high-quality recovery drive I'm sure we're getting ready to see. Corvette on Corvette as we're entering the oval. Nick Dawson on the back of George Reynolds, and we'll see begins to sort of pull out as we enter into turn 10, but stays in there. You can just see how much those cars get lifted up if they go on to the curves, and Nick Dawson ignoring those track limits that do not exist, getting on the inside. They're too wide as they're heading towards the chicane of 14 and 15, and really seems to have the run on that lower line. Those of you who have a more left-turny oval perspective probably are familiar with a move such as that, but as a sports car man myself, it's good to see moves on the oval made early. I think we're gonna take a moment to really see what happened at the beginning of the race that caused Anne-Marie to end up in the wall so early, and it was just completely on her own on the throttle coming out, and it just really got away with her in the beginning. It comes back around, re-enters the race, but that's going to be a real struggle to come back through the field. Maybe a bit of strategy might do her well to get back through, but already a reasonable bit of field spread as we're starting this third lap. Kind of what I expected. It's almost the nature of the beast when it comes to, you know, lesser known circuits. Drivers have a bit less practice on it. Here's David DeLeon trying it, thinking about it on the brakes on the NSX, but not quite having the drive there. But when it's a lesser known, lesser driven circuit, it seems that the gap between the quickest, the gap between some of the slower cars in the backfield is that much greater. But I must admit, the current fight for 10th in the background, you can see basically 5-car long, led by Marcus Taylor, is really starting to heat up in these first couple of minutes. There is no mandatory pit stop tonight, though it is the usual 55% maximum fuel capacity in all of these cars, so naturally there is a requirement for a pit stop. You're pretty much not going to make it other way, but no requirements as far as tires, though I think a fair few cars have been going for that within this season. But right now it is absolutely a battle of the Bimmers. As we're sort of, it seems that everybody's really struggling in turn 7 to find the right line. Just behind it looks like Sam Trotter and the Aston made their way through on Charles Burks, but now is looking for Leon Vallejo, but definitely needs to keep their eyes peeled on the back. They do have the slipstream on the oval. It's going to be the long way around, if there is a way around, for the Corvette, but not as such. Sam Trotter leads all three of them through. The pack spreading out. It's just so almost counterintuitive. Seeing these cars exiting the chicane, you're like, all right, the lines on the circuit, they go to the right. No, everybody's cutting across them. It's such a unique view that we have. And Sam Trotter having a bit of, excuse me, that's Leon Vallejo having a bit of an issue through the final chicane and dropping back a position or two. That's allowing for Connor Cunningham in the Hoonigan-inspired Ford Mustang to get a bit closer to another position. The fight at the front, things are kind of opening up for first and second, but Nick Dawson, after getting past George Reynolds Jr. A few moments ago, really feeling good and thinking that let's jump up onto the podium as it stands. This is the fight for third. Michael Hickman is ahead in the McLaren, sporting a different livery. No longer the rusty patinaed, or as I think I called it last week, the roadkill covered car. And it's a much more standard, I guess, racing livery that you're used to seeing. But still the same gentleman in the same gentleman racer. A lot of curb. 2 wheels off the ground, but everybody's doing it, and it really seems like it is the absolute best way to go about it. I think Anne-Marie might have just been finding another issue, but she's making her way back towards the front of the field, or making her way back towards the back of the front of the back of the field, I guess, as we can say, as it looked like Marcus Taylor, a mistake from Juan Zapata in the Acura, led for Marcus to be able to jump on through. And under threat now is Juan Zapata from Anthony Madonia. It looks like he's just going really slowly. That might have a bit of an answer to that. There's the rear of that Acura is completely missing, so really not going quickly. I think it's a limp back to pit lane for Juan Zapata. The rest of the field saying, well, I suppose thank you very much, as Connor Cunningham gets a little bit close, stays roughly out of the way, and see if we can have a look at what caused Juan Zapata to be missing the back of the car. Looking into turn one, too much curb in the entry, pow into the wall. Big suspension damage in the rear. I'm sure that the rear end falls off right there as everybody starts feeding on through. So costly mistakes here in Charlotte. Basically a street circuit in style. Walls are never close. There's basically no runoffs. It's just straight into concrete. As Michael Hickman, spurred on by the fact that there's a Corvette firmly in the mirrors, just means that there's an opportunity to catch Piotr Shabilski, who not having the pace to hang on to Paul O'Malley. We did see that a bit last week, but a couple of late race mistakes for the Dadman GT is what robs them of their race. We'll see a bit of a three-way fight beginning to engage. Hickman 5/10 off of Piotr. Dawson a further about half second off of him, and a really, really good exit for Michael Hickman coming onto the banking, and it's going to have to be the long way around if there's a way around. You can see just how close all these cars are, and going wide is Hickman, maybe thinking about finding a way down the inside. He sort of has it. Shabilski staying firm on the inside. It's going to be a late break into turn one. Piotr with the inside, I could almost imagine, is going to have this sorted out. Still there, though, is Michael Hickman, but finally having to duck behind a really, really good fight between the pair. Nick Dawson with the best seat in the house, as I like to call it. Waiting for, maybe a mistake from the two. Maybe they both sort of go deep into a corner, and Hickman, 2 for 1. Not outside the realm of possibility for second. As you can see, deep again in the Mustang is Piotr Shabilski, but the Mustang has greater top speed, generally super quick in a straight line. Though that McLaren that deep into the slipstream, there is an opportunity here. as we'll see coming into turn 10. He's on the inside. I don't think Shabilsky's going to be able to hang it, but he tries to. He goes up under the curb and tags the McLaren of Michael Hickman, who goes round as Dawson takes that opportunity to say, bit of a mistake. I got one. Let's see if I can catch the second. Both cars ripping sparks into the night sky. It's what we saw earlier on, except it was a McLaren last time. Slamming the door a bit is Piotr Shabilsky. But Michael Hickman, that sort of a bit of the tag from the Mustang, put him on the back foot, but he's still there. This is about the only bit of circuit that I know, and know is very, very rough, because those of you who have done the Charlotte Rallycross circuit know that that's turn 1 for the Rallycross circuit. Though all of this here is covered in dirt, then there's a jump, and then you veer off, and the rest of it is all just a blur. But Piotr Shabilsky holding off second for now. That sausage curb really putting a damper on the day of Piotr, and maybe a bit of a damper on the day of Michael Hickman. We look back for the fight for 7th position. It's Javi Sanabria on Marcus Taylor, front engine V8 versus front engine V6. Turn 10 again. We've seen quite a few moves here, but seems like Javi's not looking to push this one this time. Just ahead, it looks like a move for position, but I do think, in fact, it is. It's for 5th between David De Leon and George Reynolds. Reynolds getting through with the Porsche just a moment ago around the oval. It almost seems like a lot of drivers are apply pressure at turn 10, get a good exit, hope that the car ahead of you is worse off, and it seems like a fairly easy move to do on the well, calling it a straight's a bit awkward, but on the oval, on the banking, it feels a lot more like a straight than you'd expect for those of you who maybe haven't driven it. But we got another four-way fight emerging, led by David De Leon, who's taking a very, very narrow line that time. Maybe that is the preference in the Porsche. It's just maybe gets a bit better rotation. Nick Dawson and Piotr Shabilsky still absolutely ravishing fight. This is bringing Hickman back into play. Hard racing between the McLaren and the Ford still, I'm sure, ringing in both of their ears as Piotr sees that gap beginning to come down. Really coming down. It was 2.5 seconds after the incident. It's down to 0.6 now. I know these two have been fighting, but it's all good news for the man at the front. The Dadman GT, Paul O'Malley, the championship leader, is 10 seconds thereabouts across this field. Only 12 minutes into this race. Still gonna stay with the front pack just for the moment. It, like they could go for it at any second, but we'll jump back to the three-way fight. You can see the BMW of Marcus Taylor got through on David De Leon. De Leon going for that narrow line again, but has to slot in, has to stay out of the way. He's now honestly a bit under threat with the AMG of Javi Sanabria just behind. Among all that scrap, though, George Reynolds was able to move a bit ahead. I think a bit of a moment for Devin Strauss. Yep, there he is. He's taken to the infield. He's had some kind of incident. Just dropped him way back, and dirty tires coming onto a fresh surface is a bit tricky in a rear engine car. He sort of steps back out on him. Dawson Lathan, the closest he's been in a couple of laps on Piotr, and Piotr's had this ability to stay side by side, but not through one. He seems like he got into the grass just a bit, maybe tagged the wall coming through, and there goes the McLaren of Hickman. All's fair, and return to sender as Shabilsky drops down 2 positions in 2 corners. Definitely a bit of a tough shake there, but if I know anything about who Piotr Shabilski is as a driver, as we've seen him throughout the season, never giving up is their motto. They're going to push back through, and if the past 2 weeks have taught them anything, it's a race is never over till it's over. We're only a quarter of the way into this titanic, what is turning into be a titanic fight. A bit of another wiggle from Piotr, but they're going to be relegated to 4th for the moment until they can resurface and refight. Oh, there's the McLaren of Anthony Pacheco facing the wrong way into 11, and hopefully we'll get moving out of the way of any incoming cars. Sanabria's maybe dropped a bit back. Marcus Taylor's caught up to George Reynolds really, really well. Sort of see how close Taylor can get through this first sector. I'm curious. I'm most curious about what it's going to look like once they get on the oval, because it does seem like the BMW is pretty quick. I'm going to through him another moment. As maybe a bit deep goes George Reynolds, but here comes that alleged straight line pace of the BMW that I believe I've been spotting, though I could just be manifesting that from all Ultimate. Anybody who's driven that knows that the BMW in a straight line, weapon. Absolute weapon, but on the brakes, quite good as Marcus Taylor, so I don't think George is going to have to work mighty hard to keep that car behind. Hickman now on the back of Nick Dawson-Lathan, really just shaking off that earlier incident. It's all good, all fine. Damage was probably minimal, if any. Let's get back into this and let's start going. Michael Hickman's been very quick all season and continues to show that. But as we're sort of coming to 17 minutes into this race, drivers are already a bit over halfway into the stint, however that stint length was, as Dawson-Lathan disappears. Did we have a bit of a disconnection? I think Nick Dawson-Lathan might have just disconnected from the session. Never mind, he's back. We're good. Online racing is occasionally plagued with moments like that, and the fact that that's the first time we've seen that happen all season is kind of impressive. We saw it happening with Shabilski on the formation lap, but having a bit more of that. My only hope is that doesn't happen when they're side by side, because that could become a big problem. Hickman, though, is still absolutely on the tail, but not really finding inroads yet. It seems that Lathan in the Corvette not making any mistakes, and generally is finding a way to keep ahead, as Sam Schroeder in the Aston Martin, the anime-clad Aston Martin, made it through on Javier Sanabria. I think Connor Cunningham also slid through in that moment. That means Sam's up to 9th, Cunningham 10th. And now it is, or excuse me, when I said they made it through on Anthony Madonia. Javi Sanabria, of course, is the car ahead, but I think he made a slight error coming out of the hairpin and is now on the back foot. You got an Aston Martin down the inside, but he goes a bit high and up into Javi Sanabria, but Sanabria's around. Fortunately, he's facing the right way after that, but maybe a bit of a misjudgment, maybe loosening your hands on the steering wheel as the Aston Martin goes up and into the AMG. That's very characteristic of an oval race, I must admit. But it looks like Cunningham in the Mustang finding that straight line advantage and finding the ability to really catch up. That is really unfortunate for Javier Sanabria. Left with really nowhere to go. Car came up into him. But I think, unfortunately, Sanabria is now going to enter pit lane. Oh, no, it's a DNF, actually, for Javier Sanabria. A bit of a hard one to shake, honestly. A moment like that, you're fighting hard, you're fighting fair, and a bit of damage to your car, a big hit to your race, sort of out of nowhere, can really make you lose the will. So I don't blame him. As one of my good friends says, when the fun stops, so do you. We are out here to compete, we are out here to race, but at the end of the day, this is all in good fun. Connor Cunningham, though, in the mighty Mustang, one V8 versus another, Team USA versus Team UK. Seems like he has the greater pace, but speed is one thing. Overtaking, entirely different. But Sam Trotter trotting away. That's not the first time I've made that joke. I can promise you that. But finding a bit of space here. So we look back now to the fight for second. Hickman on the back of Dawson Lathan. He's close. Very close. But not finding inroads. That Corvette seeming to be about a mile wide. Nobody able to make the pass, and if they are, been tough to keep it to stick. Piotr Chabilski, though, still within range. These two start battling. If any sort of mistake happens from either one of them, 2 seconds is a very, very small margin on a racetrack. There's a possibility Piotr can find himself back up onto the podium again. This is Daniel Kent now on Charles Burks for 11th position. And it looks like Kent just got a really good exit coming out of the final corner, and thought he had really a move done, but the very late break from Charles Burks, very confident line through there that Kent did not get all the way through. One of the several cars that are driving with the ARL livery, the special ARL livery that is limited to Patreon supporters as well as broadcast sponsors. This week was supposed to be sponsored but I had realized I already have the circuit because it comes with the base iRacing subscription. So the sponsor is, well, it's all of our partners, quite frankly. They're always there and around, and I've also just realized I may or may not have turned off the source for them to be bouncing up in the top right. So they're there now. But to some of our partners that keep the lights on, rightfully they belong up there. But for anyone who is curious, which I think it's good news because I've been getting a lot of very positive feedback on this race, I will be here for the rest of the season. All circuits are sorted and dates are all good for and through the end of the season. So all 12 rounds, I guess all 11 rounds is over. The curb goes, oh, that's Charles Burks' race. Maybe a bit in shambles there, as I think he's gotten going again, but that was a really, really big hit. The rear of his car gone, similar to the NSX of Juan Zapata we saw. I think he's going to pull over, and that might be the end of the race for them. We'll look back at that crash in just a moment to get a better view of what happened there once you see the decision between David DeLeon and Marcus Taylor. The fight for top 5. And I feel like I say this every week, but it cannot be overstated how exciting it is to see all these different manufacturers all fighting, all seeming competitive, and nobody afraid to bring something out. And there do seem to be advantages for other cars that maybe some others don't have. I think the Mustang generally seeming like it is a very favorable platform for a lot of drivers. Charles Burks actually was getting a tow to pit lane and not a DNF, so it'll be a tow and a quick repair and then back on to the racing circuit. That's bumped Anne-Marie up to 15th. She'll definitely be looking for higher up than that, being no doubt as another super tricky drive for the Red Bull Esports driver, and definitely a bit of a championship toll if she doesn't make it a good bit higher. Some distance might be set between herself and other cars around her. Still, Hickman attempts to drive his way past Nick Dawson-Lathan, who, as far as I'm aware, is a brand new name to this series, and is absolutely showing their stripes, racing with some of the quickest people in this series. Hickman, as we know, is no slouch. Piotr Jabilski is no slouch, but I think Michael Hickman's finally made his way through. A mistake finally from Nick Dawson-Lathan and his Corvette means through goes the McLaren. And now, if that move stays, there's a possibility that a bit of pressure might finally be applied to Paul O'Malley, who's been utterly infallible at the lead of this field, and has just been doing an incredibly brilliant job holding firm, having the pace, and just getting straight down to business. We step back to the fight between the V8 engine the front engine V8 cars of Sam Trotter and Connor Cunningham. Cunningham leading this pair for the last favorable amount of time, as I think Cunningham really looking forward now, thinking that, well, the two cars ahead, they're pretty close. A fight could ensue. Maybe I'll get up there and start pushing forward, maybe getting a top 5. As a brief yellow for David DeLeon as he's sitting there in the wall. And a mistake for him through turn 10. Let's just take a quick look at what must have happened. Is it too much curb? It's entry and Porsche on the exit. Sort of thinks about jumping out, but knows that he has to wait before re-entering the circuit. What could feel like an age, believe me, I know what that feels like. But a very costly mistake for the Porsche. I mean, he's driving an absolutely stellar race and really running with the best of them. And the fine margins, people. The fine margin that that motorsport is all about means that, you know, something's not too far behind, as I do believe that is Anna Marie that is joined the back of this fight. Obviously not for position, but in order to make her way back through the field and hope for greater position gains, she's gonna have to unlap herself on most of the field. It's such a short circuit, and well, field's also fairly spread out, that after going basically a lap down after the pit stop on lap 5, that it's a long road ahead for Anne-Marie, and I must admit, I'm a bit curious to see how she may go about dealing with these two. They are fighting. She is a lap down. She knows that. So it's all about doing it at the right time, taking the right moment. You know you have the pace, but they're not just going to jump out of your way. It's something that, well, not every driver gets in this position, but any driver who is in this position, you really got to think this through. But definitely a struggle that isn't going to become less struggly for Anne-Marie anytime soon. And, well, it certainly wasn't an effort of Michael Hickman being held up by the Corvette, because now that Hickman is through, Nick Dawson has really not lost that much time, has not dropped to below a second. So it's going to be a bit of a longer, a long-winded fight. Maybe something that might get sorted out down pit lane, as we are a little bit past halfway. And cars are going to begin to start running out of fuel. We should start seeing pit stops. Well, we've already seen a couple. I was going to say we should start seeing pit stops at the very top of the field. Paul O'Malley from the lead is going to dive down pit lane. I'm a bit curious. Is Hickman going to do the same? I think they are. It's actually going to be a bit of a fight in pit lane. As very cheeky from Nick Dawson-Latham. Way to get really close down pit lane. So depending on who's going to take more fuel, one takes tires, this could be sorted out here. There is no collision in pit lane, so I suppose that's good news. But Piotr Chabilski, ever the fuel saver, is going to inherit the lead of this race. Staying out, running that extra lap, that does mean less time stationary for fuel coming into the pit stop. So there's an opportunity that with this overcut, if it's executed well, that Piotr might come out ahead of Hickman, might come out ahead of Nick Dawson-Latham. But for the moment, he can shout, stop the clock, take a screenshot, because he is leading the race. They come out of pit lane. They were line astern coming in. Naturally, they're going to be line astern coming out. Nothing between them on their pit stops. And nothing between them on circuit. A little bit of tire temperature is lost when you're stationary getting fuel, so they both sort of have to keep that a little bit in mind. It's going to be whoever can get the tires back up into the window. As a bit deep goes Michael Hickman. Dawson gets to jump down to that low line. And they're going to be side by side going into turn 10, but critically, Nick Dawson's got that inside line, and I think it might be a bit of a return move here. Hickman drops back. Dawson takes the position for what is, at the moment at least, is net second. As Piotr Chabilski goes in. Only Anthony Bedonia now, the last to stay out for their one and only pit stop. Juan Zapata, at the moment, looking quite good up in 7th, but they will need to stop again. I can pretty much guarantee you that. Here comes Piotr Shabilski. Well, the overcut didn't get him much. Maybe got him a bit closer. Kind of a bit nervous he's gonna run and scrape across the wall, but was able to get that one lap extra. It was worth a bit, but not enough to get through on either. As he was coming out of pit lane, probably realized, wait a minute, these two aren't quite in the order that they were when I left them. It's going to be really close. As Anthony Madonia, who did stay out, and I'm only going to guess is running on absolute fumes, has basically gotten out of the way of the leaders and gone a bit deep into 10. Perhaps thinking, I don't want to get involved in that fight that isn't mine, but might honestly be really sort of taking it very easy on this in lap. Maybe meant to pit earlier on, but stayed out a little too long, and I think that's going to be to their detriment. Stories of the night: the fight for second between Piotr Shabilski, Michael Hickman, and Nick Dawson-Latham. The well, I guess pre-turn 1 accident for Anne-Marie De Pasquale, and the ensuing struggles that have been apparent because of several crashes, people going over the limit on curbs, not finding the concrete walls to be much of their friends. But that all has culminated to a completed pit stop cycle for about all the field, save for Madonia, who's in now, Juan Zapata, who will need to stop again, as well as Anne-Marie. Just to start another lap. It's no closer, it's no further. Here at the top of this field, I was maybe not promised, but I was expecting a bit of a lighter grid, maybe not as healthy as everybody's getting ready for the N24 hosted on iRacing that is this weekend. But no, a couple of new names filling the spots. Certainly gets me excited for when everybody comes back, hopefully next week, as we head to Watkins Glen, a race that I initially thought I would be missing, but as it turns out, got just enough time in my evening so that I can spend it with all of you. I do have to admit, I've become quite fond of this series. I'm, as anybody who watched the race at Sebring knows, not the biggest fan of iRacing. Generally don't spend any of my time racing it, but man, I gotta say, the caliber of drivers and the action that we've gotten to see here tonight has been absolutely stellar. See, though, Shabilski's kind of starting to come good again. The sun's been slowly setting in the background of this race, giving us some nice bright orange sky. As Michael Hickman, seemingly out of nowhere through the first couple of corners, snuck his way through Dawson-Latham, who's going to try to go the long way around, but he's going to find that really difficult because of that minor squabble. Ladies and gentlemen, might I remind you, Mustang is hungry. As they're coming into the first of the two chicanes that break up the oval. There's very little between the two. but even less between Piotr and Nick Dawson. They're all very patient. I think Piotr especially. Well, it seems like he after that pit stop, he's really found his form again, because he's all over the back of the Corvette, and well, he might be sizing himself up for a move. He knows how difficult it can be. He's been in this position before. He's watched Michael Hickman get stuck behind, but wasting no time is Piotr Przybylski. As many different lines I've seen tonight through the hairpin, and I've regularly been impressed by what drivers are able to do with however little of an exit they give themselves. But Piotr's sort of ducking out, getting a bit into the getting a little bit into the mirrors. But it was a three-way fight earlier in the race, and now it's come back again. Though it seems that this latest overtake, as we lose Piotr for just a moment, I was gonna say this latest move from Michael Hickman seems to be the one that stuck the best. Another mistake into another chicane means that these three are back on top of each other. 3 V8s, 2 different layouts, 2 Americans and 1 Brit. Now, if my good friend Ted was here, he would be absolutely willing on Piotr Przybylski. He loves himself a Mustang. That was a late move. A bit into the rear quarter of Nick Dawson, perhaps a bit of misjudgment. Through the corner. Not the first time we've seen a bit of comings together. It's all in the nature of hard racing, as I think Piotr sort of checked off the wall a bit there. Really pushing the limit. Possibly going over. But right now, he's the only one of these three who isn't on the podium. These are important championship points for both Hickman and Przybylski. But nobody is as comfortable as Paul O'Malley, who's pretty much had it all to his own all of tonight, and is just reveling in the fantastic start and the fantastic pace that he has shown. Another sniff from Piotr, and on they go. As I think the slipstream coming off the back of that McLaren is really helping Dawson out. So we'll see. No tag on the wall this time for Piotr Przybylski. Probably good news for his mechanics. Less work that they'll have at the end of the day. Almost breaking in the grass was Piotr. They're so close, and it's not like this is the first time we've seen this happen tonight. Honestly, these three have been at each other's heels for just about, well, about the whole race. Oh, it's a mistake for Piotr. It's over the exit curb and into the barrier. He asked too much from what this car could do, and with 2 wheels less than should be on the ground, just wasn't able to find the bite that he's found. Sort of see what that looked like from on board. Excuse me, this is the wrong incident. This is actually what happened to Anne-Marie just a moment ago, but it is actually entirely similar than what we just saw from Piotr. Is into Anne-Marie goes the, I think, the BMW of Anthony Madonia. That's gone really wrong. It's right before we look at what occurred with Piotr. He's having to go into pit lane because of that incident. Gonna see the fight between Cunningham and Reynolds Jr. It's gonna be on the brakes into the chicane. Seems the Mustang has the better of it this time. Cunningham is up and back in 6th position. As now we're gonna see what occurred with Piotr Trzabilski just a moment ago. It's on the back, is maybe turns in a bit too early, nips that inside curb, and unlike with Anne-Marie, just was able to save it a bit earlier. Maybe took a bit less of it, but I think into that wall with some big wheel damage, as he immediately comes into pit lane and is on his way out, down into 7th. I think it's all a testament to Nick Dawson-Lathan's ability to not let cars through, doesn't make mistakes, and instead forces other drivers to push over the limit to get past, or within the final 15 of this race. And there's still plenty to go here. Places to be made up, as Piotr Trzabilski now has a Porsche for company. Was sort of getting used to to fighting with the mid-engines among us, but now he's gets the fight with the rear-engine class of GT3 car. And I think, effectively, these are what most people argue between are the best sounding GT3 cars. I say most, they're all wrong. It's the Lamborghini Huracan GT3 Evo 2. That is just the best sounding car of them all. But there's a lot of flat 6 enjoyers, there's a lot of big V8 motor enjoyers, and, well, I don't disagree. They do sound good. But maybe with that all said, we can go about calling it the best sounding fight of the night. As Piotr Trzabilski reeling after that accident moments ago, and doesn't really, I'm afraid, has the time to find another position. So it's going to all be about protecting what he has at the moment, which is 7th place. Paul O'Malley in the lead of this race is absolutely comfortable, is completely happy. And if we look at everyone's fastest laps, I had a feeling, my feeling was correct, that O'Malley has put a wedge between himself and everybody else still on circuit. The only driver to do a inside of a 117 so far this evening. Making their way through traffic. But the Dadman GT showing why they're the championship leader. And knock on all the wood that's available, hoping to right last week's wrongs. And just behind, it is Juan Zapata who's come back and is now said, I'm inside the top 10, me and my NSX, but Not without a fight, says Leon Vallejo. A bit of a switchback on the brakes of the Porsche, but not quite able to get alongside that NSX. I have to admit, it does look quite good on the curbs. As Connor Cunningham has entered pit lane. I don't know if it was for an emergency splash. I'm not sure if there was I don't think there was any such crash that would have relegated themselves to need to repair, so I think maybe just an emergency splash and dash, pushing a bit too hard, getting the fuel calculation wrong, so dropping from what was 6th position now down to 9th. So good news, bad news for those who were running behind and now got through. That means Piotr, David DeLeon, and Daniel Kent all got a freebie. But it's been a good drive from everybody. I think I haven't driven the circuit. This is the first time I've seen it and watched anything on it. It seems like an absolute car killer. These curbs are ferocious. There is no tire barrier. There is no gentle gravel runoff. It is just concrete walls. And there's a reasonable bit of medium speed corners that, as we have seen this evening, have the capacity to kill a car. And have attempted to kill a few. We do have 3 cars that haven't finished. Of Charles Burks, Anthony Pacheco, and Javi Sanabria. I think the latest it was a bit of a moment for Marcus Taylor. I think the latest to find out just how close those walls can be. But taking a look further into this championship, of course, this is the halfway point. Doesn't feel like it, but we're already halfway into this season. Next week, as I alluded to earlier on, is we'll be at Watkins Glen. That's the full circuit, or boot as it's known, with the bus stop chicane and the full boot section of the circuit. Following that is Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, or very much better known as Interlagos. Of course, the favorite of mine. Big fan of Interlagos. I think not enough people like it. I think more people should. Beyond that, we go to VAR for round 9. And then we are on to Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, which is, well, it is the GP circuit, the Mexico City GP circuit, which that is how it's sort of known to everybody, or how known to most people, but I'll be very excited to see that driven in sports cars. Penultimate round will be at the new to iRacing St. Petersburg Grand Prix circuit. That is, I guess, technically the closest thing to my home race, if such a thing existed, as that's just across the way towards the coast from where I am in Orlando. And then we end our season for round 12 at Lime Rock. So lots to look forward to still in this season. Lots to look forward to from me. If you are enjoying these broadcasts, which I hope you are, if you're getting tired of my voice, that is too bad, because I'll still be here. Unless I'm sick again, as I was last week, where I probably talked the least that I have in a broadcast in a very long time. It was kind of relaxing, though. And my good buddy Kevin doing a wonderful job to save my voice. But I'm hoping to bring more people into the box as I am available, though most of my commentary-abled friends are in, well, they're across the Atlantic Ocean, so the race starts for them at about 2 in the morning at the earliest, so them not being here, totally understand. Does seem like Daniel Kent, though, making a bit of a late race surge on the Porsche of David De Leon. The gap absolutely dumping. It was about 7/10 just a moment ago. We're down to, well, about as close as 2 cars can be. See what and if there is a move available. As we see coming through is Kent. Poor timing on my part, but he came through at the exit of turn 5. A surprisingly regular move. We've seen a couple of those come through, and it seems like it's such a heavy commitment section of circuit that if you have a bit more confidence, you find yourself with a bit of a better car underneath you, you can just fly on through. So that's up to 7th for Daniel Kent. And we'll see if David De Leon has the ability to fight back. There's Paul O'Malley willing these two on to continue their fight, soaking up any last bit of racing action to be had as we're about to cross the line for the fourth to last lap. It's actually, I think, the Porsche of David De Leon there, scraping past the wall, showering a bit of sparks, but the sun is set on the North Carolinian hills. And I gotta say, Charlotte Roval, just like last week, just like at Barber, another good circuit. And another circuit giving us some absolutely excellent action. But to reiterate, I do hope to have more people regularly in here with me. 2 reasons. Better show for all of you. And also, it's just more fun. Having somebody to chat with is an absolute pleasure. Everybody gets to react at the same stuff, and it's a very good fight. A very good time, rather. The fight is what's occurring between the Acura of Juan Zapata and the Mustang of Connor E. Cunningham. Cunningham, of course, having to go for that emergency splash and dash. Drop them back just a bit. Juan Zapata losing their rear wing. Well, they lost their rear bumper and other things, as Corey is saying very nice things about me in chat. I appreciate it. I think I do all right. No, I so enjoy doing these. That's the whole entire reason I do them. If anybody thinks that there's any other reasoning other than that, no. I'm not being ployed into doing these. I absolutely love getting to watch racing, getting to talk about it, and well, if I'm available and have the energy, I will be here. We're coming to the final few moments. I believe the white flag might be coming out this time for Mr. O'Malley as he comes around. Possibly one more. We'll see what Jerry on the I know the flag guy has another name. I just forget it. I'm not if anybody knows the flag guy's name, please let me know. But no, 2 more this time, so it'll be white flag as we come back around. You know, I believe I claimed earlier on that Piotr Shabilski was going to find it very, very difficult to catch anybody in the last sort of 13 minutes of this race. He's only gone and proved me completely and entirely wrong as he's finding his way through on George Reynolds Jr. and up another position. So what was a fourth is now a fifth for the moment, but coming back is George Reynolds. They're side by side, but no, too much curb. As round goes Reynolds, and we'll see if he's able to get going before a couple other cars come through, but you gotta wait. You have to wait till you have the moment. He kicks it into Gary, loses a couple of positions. That is so unfortunate. You only have a couple of laps to go, and it was a very good effort, though, to try to stay with Piotr, but he's gone up to fifth as we start the final lap for Paul O'Malley. Jump back briefly to the fight for seventh as Juan Zapata's engaged the machine gun strategy of, I am going to flash you until you make a mistake, which is, depending on the rules of whatever league you're in, is legal or not. Some leagues say that you can't do this, some do. Real life racing, I honestly actually don't know if I know the ruling on it. I think it's funny as heck, though. We'll see. Maybe a bit of a switchback upcoming. That traction on Porsche is just so hard to cope with, but on the oval, here comes Juan Zapata. And it's going to be another late-breaking battle into turn 10. As I think Juan Zapata is going to have this, and I think he's going to hold this. As around the final couple of corners comes Paul O'Malley to take victory in Charlotte. He's back to his winning ways. Our champion crosses the line in first place. Many other of these cars coming through. Do I know who all just finished? I don't. It's hard to tell when the field is very scrambled. And I have no indication on any of my screens, which makes me really sad. So we're just going to take a guess. I do know that Michael Hickman has just crossed the line. Dawson Latham, the same thing. Not quite able to hang such a fantastic fight from the two of them. And of course, Piotr Chabilski as well, who will be second to next to crossing the line. As here comes Sam Trotter to finish in fourth. I do believe that I think it's from Juan Zapata down, I do believe are finished. Or excuse me, from Daniel Kent down have all crossed the line, as there comes Sam Trotter, followed by Piotr Chabilski, followed by Anne-Marie de Pasquale, as certainly a race to forget for her, but absolutely honor for sticking with it. Getting up to 14th after a very, very, very tricky race. As we do, in fact, come to the end of what we have for you this evening. As Paul O'Malley is getting up to his donuts, giving the absolute capacity crowd a beautiful, beautiful bit of donuts. And of course, as soon as I get here, he's done. So disappointed. Continue. Continue, Paul. You're on. Everyone's watching. But instead, it's Michael Hickman to join in the fun. Those two, 1-2 in today's races. I do anticipate that we may get Mr. O'Malley in the box with us for an interview if he so chooses. Of course, there is no mandatory interview. However, if you do win a race, you are more than welcome to come in here and hang out with me for a few minutes. I will talk with you, ask you some questions, and we will go from there. We'll sort of stand by for a couple of minutes as we see the last few pretty pictures of the Charlotte Motor Speedway pass by. But no, I think it's definitely not underselling it to say it was a phenomenal race tonight. It was a heck of a circuit to behold, and another circuit to add to my ever growing encyclopedia of racetracks that I've had to talk about in a semi-professional manner. So it's been excellent to do that. As we'll give a few more moments to for Mr. O'Malley to join us if he so chooses. And as we wait, I will say, as I say every week, if you enjoyed what you have here on the stream, well, first of all, you can like the stream, subscribe to ARL here on YouTube to be notified of all the comings and goings and the streams that all happen here. We should be live tomorrow night for some Le Mans Ultimates, and possibly another on Sunday. I don't know, but I do know we will be back here next Thursday, and possibly, as we're about to do right now, we'll be talking to Mr. Paul O'Malley. I mean, nobody could touch you today is the easiest and simplest way to describe it. Excellent race, excellent driving. How'd you find the Charlotte Roval?
Sorry, Jack, could you say that one more time? I was having trouble getting
my
mic hooked up to Discord.
I was just asking you how you found the circuit tonight. I also said a bunch of nice things about you as well.
Appreciate that. No, it felt really good out there. I did all my practice all week with the fixed setup, and I don't know. I thought it had too much understeer, too much tire wear, didn't quite feel right. So tonight, swapped to the high downforce endurance setup and felt so much better. Corner entry was just right where I wanted it to be. The car did everything I wanted. I couldn't be happier. It was a really good feeling to have that kind of race.
Yeah, it's back to the winning ways, as we've known you. I mean, Piotr giving you a run for your money, not quite having it tonight. I mean, frankly, nobody could touch you. Whether or not you were aware of it, you were the only car to put down a 1:17 tonight.
I was keeping an eye on it. Nick was flirting with it. I thought he was going to get under 18 too. Yeah, he got down to an 18.0, so he was nearly there.
Yeah, it was the defense maestro of the night.
I was gonna say it looked like Michael, Nick, and Piotr were giving you guys a good race to watch back there.
Oh, absolutely! It was a superb show. But no, as we're sort of cresting halfway through the season somehow already to that point, what's been your favorite race of the season so far, and what is the race you're looking forward to the most second
half? It'd be pretty hard to top tonight, being the pace where it was, having no incidents all race. It felt really good to have such a clean race in that one. But second to this one, probably Sebring. I think that was my most unexpected race. I typically don't have a lot of pace there, and for whatever reason, was able to have some good battles there and come back from a spin. That was probably my, I don't know, most unexpected for sure.
Like that. We'll take about. Well, what about looking forward? What circuit are you looking forward to driving the most?
Oh, next week's going to be a fun time. Watkins Glen, love that track. Had a good preseason race there with Anna Marie and I can't remember if it was Michael or if it was James that we were having some good battles with. It could have been both of them, but we had a lot of fun in the preseason race. So I think next week's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, that's something definitely that I'll be looking forward to that. I'll be looking to a 4 or 5-way fight around the Glen, but no, I guess for the first time that you're hearing it, Congratulations. It was a hell of a race. And before you go, any final words, any shout outs you want to make?
Just want to say thank you to the wife. She watches all of these and cheers me on as it's going on, and she likes to hear the commentary you guys give. So, uh, thank you to her for supporting me and letting me continue to do this and taking my evenings away from her. And it's great that she likes to support me in that. And also, thanks to the kids for the little bit that they get to watch before bedtime. Appreciate you guys having the support. Love you.
That was beautiful. Thank you for that. Well, yeah, best of luck prepping for the Glen next week, and maybe we'll be chatting with you same time in 7 days. But congrats again, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you, Jack. And thanks for doing the commentary. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you next week.
Absolutely happy to do it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that is it for another iRacing Thursday. And if you want to join any of the events that are going on here at ARL, there are honestly too many to remember. Pretty much any given day of the week, there is an event going on, not just on iRacing, but there is ACC, some crossplay action. So console racers and PC drivers going wheel to wheel. Le Mans Ultimate, I think there's 4 or 5 different championships going on in there right now. Le Mans Ultimate absolutely killing it. And AMS2s on Tuesdays, wrapping up the vintage ALMS season. There's also the Indy 500 special event coming up for that. iRacing as well is on Porsche Cup Mondays, which I'm sure Ted will appreciate me saying. Go sign up for that. It seems like a super fun season, and everybody would appreciate some new faces, some new blood to take to the circuits. Then, for all information about all that, head to americasracingleague.com. That'll take you to the Discord. That'll take you to the sim grid for all of your sign up needs for non iRacing stuff. But Discord is your best place to go to get all the information you could ever want. Talk with drivers, enjoy the community that's being built here. If you want to take a stab at commentary, I'd be happy to have you in here. Happy to train you up as best as I can. I don't require anybody to have any experience or anything like that. Honestly, if you just come in with a good attitude, we will absolutely have a good time in here. Try to make it as fun as I can. But thank you all for watching. Thank you to all the drivers, of course, for putting on a show and showing up at all. Best of luck to everybody who will be taking part in the N24 this weekend. That is just about the hardest race that exists, period. So best of luck to all of them. Thanks for everybody who still showed up tonight. And yeah, beyond that, I look forward to being here again tomorrow night, bar any more sudden illnesses. But stay safe and enjoy the tail end of your week as you get ready for the weekend. And if you're not done with racing action, join us on here tomorrow night. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you all very soon. And be good to yourself. Have a great night.